All right. Last but not least, we have our special guest, Nikhil Singh, all the way from South Africa. I was introduced to Nikhil's novel, Tati. I say Tati, but since the author says Tati Went West. A couple of years ago, Jeff Ryman was just bugging me to read the book. And he was just such a huge fan that, of course, and I'm a huge fan of Jeff's, so I read it and I knew that I seriously wanted to publish it, and it was my honor and privilege to do so. That came out this June. And, um, and I'm glad to see Nikhil because Nikhil came to ReaderCon and now he's here. And it's a really cool thing. Thank you. Anyway, Nikhil Singh is an artist, writer, and musician. Former projects include the graphic novels Salem Brownstone, written by John Harris Dunning, and longlisted for the Branford Bowes Award, Walker Books 2009, as well as the Ziggurat Bell Roberts 2003 by the Constructus Corporation, now Die Antwoord. Is that right? Die Antwoord? Good enough. All right. His work has also been featured in various magazines, including Dazed, ID Online, and Creative Review, as well as Pictures and Words, New Comic Art, and Narrative Illustration, Lawrence King 2005. His novel, Tati, was published by Quanti Trust in 2015, and Jacaranda Books UK and Rosarium this year. And and it has an accompanying soundtrack, so check that out. And recently, Tati was also shortlisted for the Ilube Prize for Best Novel in the inaugural NOMO Awards, which I guess you can explain what the NOMO Awards are if you like. But anybody, since flew 25 hours, give him a really huge round of applause to keep him awake.
Hello, everyone. Do your mic thing. Okay. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the Hour of the Wolf. Thanks so much, Bill, for inviting me, and thank you, Jim. Just a quick word about the NOMOs and the African Speculative Fiction Society, which was kind of put together by Jeff Ryman and a few other cohorts, which is collecting Pan-African fiction, and the awards ceremony enables African authors to vote for their own work. So have a look at it. There's quite a lot of interesting stuff. So let me read you a bit from this monster. There had always been wrestlers in jungle country. Some came from disenfranchised tribes, settled along the filthy river settlements. Others drifted in from the big cities and the lowlands. It was difficult to get good gigs and earn decent money in the more developed areas. Everyone knew that the real money was to be found in the outzone. Wrestling, in particular, had a perverse attraction for the suffering and alcohol-racked. Even the scattered jungle folk seemed to like it better than all the other forlorn forms of traveling entertainment gestating within the zone. Perhaps the bizarre outfits and fetishistic masks reminded them of their long-departed customs and strange gods, many of whom were apocalyptic and bloodthirsty, speaking of the end of days and fire from the sky. At any rate, it was comforting for the villagers to witness the spectacle of a large ring of banana leaves, illuminated by candy-colored light bulbs and traversed by gladiatorial men in tights. These rings would be erected with great pomp, despite their shabbiness, patrolled at all times by security guards in sunglasses and handlebar moustaches. More often than not, this security force was nothing more than waterfront knife trash, picked up in bars, made suddenly civil by the addition of uniform facial hair, green fatigues, and matching eyewear. They did their job playing soldier. The wrestling events were accorded more importance than they deserved. But the people enjoyed the heady cocktail of circus extravagance and freshly spilt blood. In those early days, the wrestlers were a little more than a raggle-taggle caravan. Carnival strongmen drifting from village to village, staging fights for whomever came. This sideshow existence of theirs went on for some time until an historic event forever altered the role they had played as simple performers. A particularly vicious robber baron had begun killing old people in an attempt to extort more goods from a long-suffering tribe. The elders were taken in night raids and then held ransom for goods and valuables. Often the hostages were just killed anyway, even after the hefty tariffs had been settled. The wrestlers who were in the area at the time took umbrage at the treatment of this particular tribe that had always been faithful followers. They decided to arm their waterfront trash guards with submachine guns, explosives, and machetes, pooling their resources in an attempt at a counter-strike. Their tactical strength and capacity for actual violence were more formidable than they could have anticipated. Within a day, they had taken the robber baron's compound and mounted his and many of his closest cohorts' heads on stakes. Drunk on victory, they began to stage a number of successful assaults upon the various despotic chieftains and feudal lords along their riverside circuit. The wrestlers fought barehanded, as they did in the ring, sweeping down in a multicolored blaze once the mustachioed guards had laid waste to the majority of the opposition with mortar fire and machine guns. They began to gain a tremendous amount of praise and respect from the people along the river. Scattered military emplacements started to defect to the wrestlers, who were far more effective and less corrupt than the official forces left behind in the outzone. The wrestlers swelled in power. They were opposed on several occasions, but within time they became the recognized authority in the lawless zone. The wrestlers themselves had by now become a sort of elite group. Surrounded at all times by legions of uniformed moustache men with machine guns, their masks and costumes became more and more intricate as a hierarchy began to develop within their numbers. Some speculated that they staged secret bouts to compete for positions of power. Whatever the case, the wrestlers maintained their original nomadic configuration, moving in heavy convoys through the jungle territories and down the river, laying down the law as they saw fit. They were not unfair, but they did become more inflexible over time. People soon came to fear their stranglehold of power. The wrestlers' coup de grace was to establish a roving border around the outzone, one that flexed and shifted like a membrane, and anyone or anything coming in or going out had to pass through the border posts that, although not entirely corrupt, were amenable to specialty tariffs and first views by speculative smugglers with large amounts of non-traceable cash. To aid mobility, these stations often took the form of specially designed jumping castles, referred to collectively as the soft house. The afternoon had turned bright and sunny. A breeze gushed in from the sea, rippling up the enormous fields of cane like fingers through hair. This was old plantation land, long abandoned, given over to anarchy. Alphonse Guava had the midget juice up the banana-colored jalopy and take him out to the soft house after lunchtime cocktails. The clanking vehicle was a turn-of-the-century relic mounted on bicycle wheels. These spindly wheels had undergone extensive balloon tire modifications to handle the rough roads outside the known maps of the territory. Alphonse had won the car of a gambler on a steamboat some years before and kept it in good condition, mostly out of spite. The in-house cigar-smoking circus midget who loved tinkering and had managed to track down a manual or two detailing parts, set about making his own with replacements in the forge. He had little else to do except smoke those repulsive stogies of his, so soon it became something of a pet project. Alphonse, tickled by his dedication, decked the little fellow out in aviator goggles, leather skull caps, and elegant pairs of driving gloves. The car was noisy, difficult to handle, broke down almost on an hourly basis. Yet, despite these numerous failings, it was used more often than the deluxe Finn Caddy or the Starbright V8. Even the Speedster saw less mileage than the cranky yellow car. The midget had a large gramophone welded to the back, tacked it out with gyroscopes that it could play on almost any terrain. They were listening to old Al Bolu records en route to the soft house, quaffing martinis splashed out of chrome shakers. Typhoid Mary was perched in the back, grinning at nothing, lost in a zombie world all of her own. Judas was also in the back, with his bloody legs and junk trailing behind the car in something of a just-married motif. He was sulking, staring at the sky through chunky sunglasses, chain-smoking, petulantly ignoring the blood seeping from his freshly mangled knees. Campbell's tomato soup cans bounced ridiculously behind him, constantly threatening to catch in the wheels and jerk him overboard. Alphonse was in the front getting sloshed. All this time, the midgets seemed to be grand ones. Even the most trivial were a course for cocktails, and his white suit had, in fact, gathered one or two fresh stains along the way. A checkpoint appeared some distance down the dirt road. 3 soldiers with handlebar moustaches, mirrored sunglasses were manning the candy-striped blockade. Bossa Nova blared deafeningly from a tinny radio inside the watchman's shack. One of the soldiers paced the road with a machine gun. The other 2 were a small distance in the cane, viciously beating a purple clown. The clown had been tied to a chair. One of his teeth was traveling down his violet-powdered cheek on a snail trail of blood. The soldier on the road waited for the jalopy to stop. The midget shifted the cigar in his mouth, gunned the engine, and ran the soldier down. There came a crunch, squeal, and clatter as the vehicle trundled over the figure. This was followed by the sound of the blockade being destroyed by the barreling jalopy. Alphonse barely seemed to register the entire episode, so intent was he on refreshing his drink. The soldiers in the cane paused for a moment to witness the death of their comrade. They observed the car drive off with perplexed expressions, then returned to the clown. The jalopy crested the ridge of a sugarcane rise, and a huge lime-green jumping castle emerged into view. It was nestled in an open field, and its translucent bulk quivered like an enormous jellied dessert against the sky. It was at least 6 stories high, and various towers sprouted and swayed in the offshore breezes. The sunlight shone down, a weird beach ball light that embedded in the multiform shadows. Figures and furniture could be seen bouncing around inside the castle, moving like protoplasmic motes beneath a microscope. Soldiers performed aerobic exercises in the cane, syncopating to leotard-clad girls on battered television sets. These and other small devices were powered by a squadron of deflated pygmies manning several bicycle-powered generators. Hundreds had clearly died, keeping the soldiers fit. You think they would have pillaged enough gold fillings to erect a proper barracks by now, Judas muttered blackly in the jumping castle. Small mercies, Judas, Alphonse grinned. The hard house would sound a little too bouncy, don't you think? No fucking cackle, Judas quacked bitterly as they drew up to the front of the structure. Alphonse hopped out, passed between 2 surly heavies who guarded a labial entrance to the lime green castle. The others waited in the car. The midget maxed out the volume in his gramophone system, and their music clashed uncomfortably with the energetic beats pumping out of the soldiers' aerobics programs. Some of the soldiers were thrown off by the dissonance, and this afforded the midget no end of pleasure. Thank you.